Right, you're watching the agenda. The Portfolio Committee on Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment has assured Limpopo community members that if the majority of South Africans don't want the climate change bill, it will not be passed in Parliament. The committee is in Limpopo as part of its nationwide consultation process with communities on the climate change bill. SABC News reporter Mahlako Komane joins us now for an update on this. Mahlako, thank you so much for your time this hour. So what are the big takeaways on the climate change bill and why is it so important?
Yes, good afternoon to you, Mkolisi, as well as the viewers at home. We are here in Bela. This is the third leg of the Limpopo, in terms of the public consultations that are taking place on the climate change bill. We're in Bela. Yesterday we're in Vembe. I understand that the committee was in Sekhukhune on Friday. In terms of the importance of the bill, you'd obviously understand, we are seeing those rains. I heard earlier on you were at the OR Tambo municipality in the Eastern Cape speaking to our colleague there, about the devastating effects that we've seen of the floods. When I spoke to, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee yesterday, telling us that they're trying to ensure that there is an integrated, but not only that, but, they're legalizing the response of things like the floods that you were on. We saw it's been raining as well in Gauteng. Also remember the floods that happened in KwaZulu-Natal not so long ago. So he's saying that is to have that at the different spheres of government to ensure that there is, coherent response to not only disasters, but also, as I suppose the climate is changing, and sometimes it leads into what we are seeing with, your flooding and your storms and so forth. So that's what, that was the explanation that we got. But not only that, but also carbon, like low carbon, the emission of low carbon is one of the issues that this bill is aimed at addressing. But also in your intro there, because reading that the Portfolio Committee saying there that, with these public consultations that they are having across the country, they just happen to be in Limpopo this weekend. It will be from there where they get a view from South Africans to see if South Africans feel that there is a need, is there a buy-in from your ordinary South Africans on the ground, or South Africans as a whole in general, in terms of this bill being passed. So we are on that third leg of the provincial consultation, or the consultation in this particular province. It started not so long ago, about 30 minutes or so ago. So we are waiting to hear what the people of Bela have to say in terms of how they feel about this bill. But what we did hear when we spoke to the chairperson yesterday, Mr. Pokhiso Mudisa, telling us that, when they were in Sekhukhune, they said that residents there were expressed that this bill, they found the bill to be important, they were quite happy with it, and that while they appreciated the fact that, in terms of your councillors and other forms of, leaders at that local government sphere, that the bill does cater for that. But what they felt was not included in this bill was traditional leaders who, the people of Sekhukhune felt that this would be their first contact in terms of, contact, be it there's a disaster or, there are climate change issues, be it from drought to having too much water. People are saying that in Sekhukhune, they were saying that they need their local traditional leaders to also have, to find, for policymakers to find a space within this particular bill as well for those community, the traditional leaders.
Right, Mahlako, of course, climate change continues to be part of the global agenda. So does the community there perhaps maybe feel like the whole engagement process has been inclusive?
Well, I cannot speak for how inclusive the engagement process is or has been. However, in terms of what I am seeing here in Bela today is that it's full. In actual fact, they've had to not let people in, I suppose, for the safety measures that they would have for the venue and so forth. The capacity of the venue, it's full. So it seems like people in Bela really coming out, to engage this portfolio committee on issues relating to what they find in the bill, what's necessary or what they don't feel is necessary for them. Obviously, with Bela also being a farming community, we are probably going to also be hearing from that sector of the community to hear how is it that they feel, what they feel is missing in this bill. But not only that, I suppose also just residents here, as we've been saying, that even now the rain clouds, they continue to gather wherever we go in this province, and it looks like they're gathering here. I suppose people want to know what happens should it rain and my roof goes, or we're caught in a disaster also. And another thing that the portfolio committee chairperson say to us yesterday when we spoke was that they are not trying to override or override other legislations like your Disaster Act, but this bill is meant to complement acts like that to ensure that there is that cohesive and coherent response in terms of issues of climate change. But also when we spoke to some of the people of Vembe yesterday, saying that one of the leaders there told us that while they were happy with what was happening in terms of when they would have a disaster as a result of the climate change and so forth, he was saying that what he felt was important was the education of communities on the issue of climate change, that communities needed to be educated so that they can understand these things, they can understand why all of a sudden there's not enough water, why are we going through drought. 1 week we are in drought, the following week there's a lot of water I suppose in terms of flood, like it rains too much. So the education of communities also coming up strong there in Vembe. But we're waiting to hear from the community of Bela to hear what are their issues or what are their feelings on this particular issue of climate change. But it's quite interesting to see it being brought down at a community level. I also understand that there was a lot of work that went in behind the scenes. They had to send out people to try and educate the communities, not necessarily educate them, but to inform them that this is what is going to happen, there's this function. And a lot of people, I just spoke to somebody just, we were just having a conversation who also comes from Parliament, saying that it was quite interesting to hear people as they were giving their inputs, that they understood that they work, what they were teaching them in terms of climate change. But I suppose also that general call that comes from Vembe that there needs to be more that is done in terms of educating people on what climate change is, what are the effects, so when things happen people are not surprised. But for now we are awaiting to hear what the people of, or the inputs, the submissions of the people of Bela will be. Mxolisi.
Right, Mahlako Komane, we park it here for now. Thanks very much indeed for that update.